Hey everybody, this is GGB. We're going to be getting into college basketball update today, Tuesday edition, guys. I hope you're excited. So, normally what we do on this series is we recap what happened yesterday. And as the season goes on, we'll go into like how this is going to affect the standings and the different conferences and stuff. But right now, we're going to just go over what happened yesterday and the games we have today and which one I'm going to pick. So, start off, we're going to go over what happened yesterday. We ended up with an upset yesterday. Not the one I picked, but the one I was... Okay, so I was debating, if you didn't see yesterday's episode, I was debating between picking Louisiana Tech over Texas Tech or Northwestern State over TCU. And the big reason why I ended up going Louisiana Tech over Texas Tech is I just had more confidence in Louisiana Tech to pull off an upset than Northwestern State. In hindsight, I should have had more confidence TCU was going to blow it. Because TCU was actually upset last night by Northwestern State, 24.5-point underdogs heading into the game, which means you have 2 straight days, Sunday and Monday, with a top 25 upset. We're going to see if that can continue here today. So we have a lot of games. So I've still set at 0 points. By the way, for anyone who missed yesterday's episode where I explained the rules, I'll go over them real quick. College basketball upset today, the basic rule is I have to get to 4 points in a week. You get half a point if there's no upset that day. You get 1 point if you pick an upset that day, and you get 1.5 points if you pick the biggest upset of the day. Right off the bat, down. I expect to get at least half a point yesterday. I ended up with 0 points, so I'm down early. So I'm going to try and make that up for today. But we have 8 top 25 games today. We're going to go over them real quick. We got 7 o'clock, number 4 Kentucky, who's 2-0, traveling to Michigan State, who is 1-1. Kentucky favored by 7 points on ESPN. 7 o'clock, we got Winthrop, who's 2-1, traveling number 13 Auburn, who's 2-0. Auburn favored by 19 points on the SEC Network. 7 o'clock, we got Buffalo, who's 1-1, traveling number 25 UConn, who's 2-0. UConn favored by 20.5 points on CBS Sports Network. 8 o'clock, we have Gardner-Webb, who's 0-2, traveling number 1 UNC, who's 2-0. UNC favored by 22.5 points on the ACC Network. And 9 o'clock, we have number 17, San Diego State, who's 2-0, traveling to Stanford, who's 1-1. San Diego State favored by 5 points on Pac-12 Network. 9:30, we got number 7, Duke, who's 2-0, traveling to number 6, Kansas, who's also 2-0. Duke actually favored by 2 points on ESPN, but that would count as an upset because Duke is ranked lower than Kansas. At 10 o'clock, we have number 18, Alabama, who's 2-0, traveling to South Alabama, who's 1-1. Alabama favored by 11 points on ESPNU. And at 11 o'clock, we had number 21, Dayton, who's 2-0, traveling to UNLV, who's 2-0. Dayton favored by 4 points on CBS Sports Networks. First off, I'd like to start off right off the bat. I think there is a good argument for every single one of these upsets outside of Gardner-Webb at UNC. And I'll go over my arguments for each of them. Kentucky is playing Michigan State on the road. Michigan State's going to get home court advantage. But not only that, this is a Michigan State team that could have beaten Gonzaga last week. This is a Michigan State team that arguably should be a top 25 team. And Kentucky has actually, they look good, but Michigan State has looked pretty solid here to start the year. And if it wasn't for a little bit going wrong in the Gonzaga game, we'd be looking at a top 25 Michigan State team too, and probably top 20. This is a good Spartans team, at least in my opinion. That is the argument for picking Kentucky over Michigan State over Kentucky. Okay, here's the argument for Winthrop over Auburn, and it's less on Winthrop, right? Winthrop's 2-1. One of those losses is to Penn State, and while Penn State right now is 3-0, they are a historically bad college basketball team. But the argument for picking Winthrop over Auburn is the same Auburn team that almost lost to USF Bulls not that long ago. And this is the USF Bulls lost to Stetson yesterday. Auburn almost lost to one of the worst teams in all college basketball. Winthrop is not that. Winthrop, while struggling against Penn State and not beating and losing pretty badly to Penn State, they've had some struggles early, but Auburn has also had struggles. And this would be more of a pick. I know it's a stretch pick, but it'd be more of a pick on the downside of Auburn than the upside of Winthrop, at least in my opinion. The other 7 o'clock game, we got Buffalo, traveling number 25, UConn. And there's not a lot of an argument here, at least in my opinion, for this. Buffalo hasn't looked phenomenally strong to start the year. UConn hasn't looked bad to start the year. The argument for me, would be just looking at the numbers, right? UConn is barely in the top 25. Obviously, they're solid enough to be in the top 25. But as top 25 teams go, they're probably on the lowest end of good. Buffalo is a historically solid MAC team, so you would have to go with the historic value there if you're going to take the Bulls over the UConn Huskies. 9 o'clock, again, number 17, San Diego State, who's 2-0, traveling to Stanford, who's 1-1. And I think the argument here would be, it's not that insane of an argument, right? Stanford is only 5-point dogs in this game. They're playing on their home court. And while Stanford wasn't the greatest Pac-12 team in the world last year, San Diego State struggled a lot of last year too. So I think this game has a possibility of being really interesting. I mean, the Cardinal, they're only 5-point underdogs. I think that kind of sells it on its own right. Duke traveling on the road to Kansas. Technically speaking, Duke's favorite in this game, and it would count as an upset by my standards because, again, Duke's ranked lower. So I feel like that's not even that. That's like possible. Not only just possible, but it feels like more likely than not, Duke beats Kansas on the road. We'll see, but that seems like a pretty good option there. Number 18, Alabama on the road against South Alabama, and while South Alabama isn't starting out the year too super hot, only 1-1. This is the same South Alabama team that almost upset Alabama on the road last year. This time they're going to get on their home court advantage. So that's the upside of the Jags there if you want to go that one. And then finally, you got number 21 Dayton on the road against UNLV. Dayton only favored by 4 points there on CBS Sports Network. So like I'm saying, there's an argument to be made about almost every single one of these upsets outside of obviously Gardner-Webb is not going to beat number 1 UNC. It could happen, but if I had to pick the order of which games I'm going to take as upsets, that would be my last one. So time for my pick. I'm going to go Michigan State over Kentucky. And the reasons why is, number one, Michigan State looked really good against Gonzaga. And I think there are weaknesses that they can exploit against Kentucky. That's number 2. Number 3 reason is I need to make up. I need to make up for the half-a-point loss yesterday with the Northwestern State game. And as long as something insane doesn't happen, like South Alabama beats Bama, Gardner-Webb beats UNC, Buffalo beats UConn, or Winthrop beats Auburn, as long as that doesn't happen and Michigan State comes out on top against Kentucky, it doesn't matter if Stanford beats San Diego State, it doesn't matter if Duke beats Kansas, and it doesn't matter if Dayton beats UNLV. I will be getting the 1.5 point because it's going to be the biggest upset of the day. So these are the reasons why I'm going to be taking Michigan State over Kentucky. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Which upset of the day would you be taking if you were in my shoes? Hey everybody, this is GGB saying adios amigos, and see you tomorrow.